Rome with Romy did a 6-part case study on DDG and Hallie. She literally pumped out roughly 9 hours of content in the span of 2 weeks while still working a 9 to 5. That is insanely impressive. And I will be using some clips from her videos, so please go watch her videos if you want a way more in depth analysis of DDG and Hallie. Some of her videos are now behind a paywall, so if you can, please support the creator. I believe that part of the reason why DDG behaves the way he behaves in relationships is because of his upbringing. Like most, if not all of us, we are a product of our environment. With DDG, a huge part of his toxicity in romantic relationships can be traced back to the relationship his father had with his mother. It was clear that DDG's father, Daryl Sr., was yet another toxic motherfucker who also takes no accountability for his actions. Daryl Sr. was on some, oh, my baby mama just crazy for no reason bullshit.
I used to be one of them kids that used to cry and stuff when y'all used to argue and all of that.
You remember that?
No.
I remember y'all arguing.
For real?
Yeah.
I don't remember him crying or nothing.
Big red flag for the parents.
The love DDG witnessed between his father and his mother was not healthy. When things were good, he'd be loving on DDG's mom and trying to do right by her. But because he's a toxic motherfucker, he was also creeping around.
Broke up because I refused to have people dominate me and control me. And then she would say, "No, you cheat." When I heard of FBI agents.
FBI.
I used to call all her friends FBI agents. I see Daryl at the mall.
And the way he's saying it as if she's like such a mean person, because he said she would, kick his car, maybe bust out his windows, and her friends, he called them FBI friends, would go and report to her what her man was doing and who he was with. The way that he's talking about his wife and low-key villainizing her seems like he just wanted to run around. And he didn't really want to be there as a husband. And she was frustrated. But instead of taking out her frustrations in a healthy way, she chose an unhealthy way. It's very interesting to hear him talk as if, oh yeah, your mama crazy. She wild. And I'm like, sir, you made her that way. Every action has a reaction now. Was she perfect? No.
Unfortunately, when Daryl Sr. was being a toxic partner to DDG's mom, she would take out some of that anger on DDG. DDG has said that when he was a kid, his mother was very, basically she was whooping his ass a lot when he misbehaved. It is not clear whether DDG saw this as a form of abuse or whether he just saw it as his mother being a very strict, slightly overbearing parent. But it is clear that Daryl Sr. and DDG's mother were a very toxic couple, and for most of his childhood, that was what DDG saw as a representation of a functioning relationship. When there were good times, there was laughter and kikiing, and when there were bad times, his dad would creep around and play in his mom's face, which led to his mom reacting in very unhealthy ways. His parents were caught in this constant repeating cycle for most of his childhood, till they finally got divorced. Daryl Sr. acknowledges that he was not the best husband in the world, but he also follows that statement by saying that his baby mama was crazy and wild, which shows me that he does not hold himself accountable for the parts he played in any of the explosive reactions or any of the harmful things DDG's mother did while the two of them were together.
The father said that the mother would beat his son out of frustration and arguments that she was having with him.
That was scared of mama.
I always scared of my mama.
She used to whoop me
your
and
mama
shit out
used
of
to
me.
put her problems on you. Like she got mad, she take it out on you.
Because he liked to be out in the streets. He didn't like to be home all the time, and he liked to be with his friends. This is where DDG Jr. gets his behavior from. Because I didn't see any accountability here. It was just him saying, oh, she did this. Your mama was buck wild. She's the toxic one. Not me. I'm not the one. She the one that went wild, not me. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, y'all.
Now, personally for me, I'm on team walk away from toxicity. But I will say that DDG, quote, met his match when it came to Ruby Rose. Like his parents, DDG and Ruby Rose were another, when things are good, we're smiling, we're vibing, we're loving on each other. But when things are bad, we're a very toxic kind of couple. And unfortunately, things eventually escalated to the point that there was DV and other forms of aggressive behavior in their relationship. Allegedly, such as the bruise on Ruby's arm and Ruby allegedly snatching the chain off of DDG's neck. They'd break up, get together, break up, get together. When they were on a break, Ruby Rose and DDG would be with other people. Even when they weren't on a break, DDG was still out here creeping. Although Daryl Sr. and DDG's mother did eventually get a divorce, I think by the time they got divorced, it was kind of already too late. And by too late, I mean that DDG had already absorbed what a functioning relationship is supposed to look like. One where the man's doing toxic things and the woman is reacting in a toxic way. And although eventually DDG's toxic relationships would usually hit a dead end, that's not what DDG wants. He wants the toxicity to continue. DDG wants his girlfriends to stay in the toxic cycle with him and never leave. Because if she never leaves, despite all the mind games and toxic BS and creeping around and the other ways this man will embarrass her, then she is really proving that she is truly loyal to him.
You know you found the one when you can call that girl family. You know what I'm saying? And I read some shit. Family is somebody who will never ever leave you no matter what. The girl you want to marry, or if it's a girl watching the man you want to marry, is the one that will not leave you no matter what. They love you so much they don't want to leave you. And it's like a mom. It's like having a girlfriend, but she has the mom tendencies to like care about you so much she'll never leave you.
So basically what he's saying is he wants someone who doesn't hold him accountable. That's what he said. And he would rather her just sit down and take it and forgive him for his transgressions because he's just a little man. He's just a man being a man. And she's supposed to be with him through thick and thin. She's supposed to be a ride or die. She's a rider, right? Rider. That's what he wants. He wants someone who's going to be with him through his fuckery. And our sis Kennedy said, I'm not going to be that girl. I'm going to hold you accountable. And I don't like it. And I don't want this. And he didn't like that. He didn't like that she wouldn't bow down to him.
I believe that DDG does a lot of things he does on purpose because, one, he's incredibly insecure, and two, because he's searching for the woman that will give him that motherly love he's searching for. He's searching for that, quote, real good woman that will give him unwavering loyalty. And we all know that most of the time a man says he wants a good woman that will never leave him, they're not referring to if the husband gets sick or becomes disabled or there's an unexplained, uncontrollable, life-changing event. No. What they're really saying is, I'm gonna be on some fuck shit 40 out of 52 weeks a year, and I'm gonna expect you to stick beside me like a real one would. DDG said that he really, really loved Kennedy, and Kennedy responded by saying that DDG showed her what love wasn't.
When it feels like you're giving so much, and sometimes you maybe feel like you're giving more than that person, and they still don't see your appreciation, that is not something I can fix. That is something that person has to find within themselves to love themselves. And I'm not just talking about monetary things. When you are constantly doing for someone and they're still saying that you don't appreciate them, that is just mind-blowing to me. And after a while, when someone isn't noticing your appreciation for them, it becomes draining, and quite frankly, I'm tired.
DDG would use his words and his money to show Kennedy that he loves her, but when it came to his character and other things that makes one a good partner, DDG was not meeting those requirements. But he thought because he could help her career and help put her on and spend money on gifts and dates, that those things alone made him a really, really good boyfriend. And for Kennedy, that simply was not enough. She wanted more for herself, and like the truly toxic man he is, this is what DDG had to say about that.
Kennedy, I hope you find somebody, you feel me, that's gonna do what the hell I did. Because a lot of these, I know the niggas that you are into are niggas, you know what I'm saying, successful basketball rapper, you know what I'm saying, all this other shit, the type of you're into, it's gonna be hard to find a nigga that's already up here, that's gonna take the time out of his day to make you feel good and 100% safe and 100% secure. The reason why I feel like we were the perfect match is because we were coming up together.
Ew, this is so cringe.
He's saying that the other men that will potentially like her will also not meet her requirements. He knows that the only requirement he can meet is having money, so he's telling her that the other guys will be just as toxic as he is, and that they'll be broke. Unfortunately for DDG, there are multiple men who have money and are not toxic.
Sensational.
I believe that part of the reason why Hallie is the way she is can also be traced back to her upbringing, because again, most if not all of us are products of our environments. After reading those text messages, I believe that Hallie shows signs of having borderline personality disorder, also known as emotionally unstable personality disorder. The only reason I believe Hallie shows signs of having BPD is because I have BPD, and I saw a lot of similarities between us. I am not diagnosing this woman, please do not sue me. I simply saw a lot of similarities between myself and the Hallie I saw in those messages. I will not say what those exact similarities are, because I'm not about to be that vulnerable, but I saw a lot of similarities. The reason I say Hallie shows signs of having BPD is because Hallie appears to have been neglected by her parents. In a way, she was raised by her siblings, and apparently, she's not in contact with her parents. For many people, experiencing neglect from a parent doesn't always result in long-term emotional instability. But when you're born as a naturally sensitive or emotionally needy child, meaning you require more reassurance, more affection, and more emotional connection than average, that kind of neglect can be deeply damaging. When those needs aren't met by your parents, especially in early development, it can set the stage for conditions like borderline personality disorder, also known as emotionally unstable personality disorder. It's not just about being hurt, it's about being wired to feel things intensely and being raised without the tools or safety to regulate those feelings. One of the hallmark traits of BPD is the attachment to what we call a favorite person, someone who becomes our emotional anchor. For those of us with BPD, when we have a favorite person, they are our everything. They're the funniest, the smartest, the most thoughtful, kind, caring, loving. Essentially, that person can do no wrong. We idolize them, we put them on a pedestal so high that they feel like the best thing that ever happened to us. And for a while, that connection can feel euphoric, like we finally found the person who gets us. But the emotional pendulum swings hard. When our favorite person does something that hurts us, our image of them changes drastically. The same person we loved so intensely now feels like the worst person in the world. Suddenly, we see them as cruel, manipulative, distant, or selfish. We question their entire character. You never cared about me. You don't love me. It's not just hurt, it's betrayal. The cycle of idealization and devaluation is exhausting, both for the person with BPD and the person on the receiving end. It's about wounds that were never soothed, needs that were never met, and the emotional dysregulation that follows us into every relationship. I believe that for Hallie, DDG was her favorite person because she had this to say during the beginning of the relationship. Experiencing deep love for the first time in my life is something I feel has opened a whole new world for me. What it feels like to love someone other than your family, like somebody you may not have known 2 years ago, but now they're the center of your world. All musical inspiration really just comes from life experiences. Love has been a really big one for me too, because that's something I'm experiencing for the first time. And it's like, whoa, in your brain, it's just fireworks, a spark for creativity. You know, you have puppy love experiences. You think that's love, but this is my first deep, deep, real love. And she also said this in the text messages. Crazy how the one person I thought I could trust and be there for me constantly proves me wrong. You are wrong. You know that emotionally I struggle and have a hard time. Yet, when I'm obviously going through something, you ignore me until I go crazy. You throw in my face my insecurities and laugh about it. You put your phone on airplane mode and say you're not dealing with it. But when something bad happens, don't say anything. Because this was my attempt to beg you to listen to me, to just answer the phone, to just hear me, to try and understand where I'm coming from. But you don't. Allow me to be vulnerable again. As someone with BPD, my favorite person when I was growing up was my mother. And because of that, we had a very rocky relationship. Now I would say that my favorite person is my boyfriend. However, we have found a way to make this not toxic. As someone who has BPD, my boyfriend is probably the best person for me. He is very patient, he understands my cues and triggers. He's probably the best fit for someone like me. Unfortunately for Hallie, it is very clear from the messages that DDG was not the right person for her. In fact, I don't think DDG is the right man for anybody, but he really, really is not the person you want to be in a relationship with when you may be showing signs of having BPD. Me and my boyfriend realized together that I showed signs of BPD before I was officially diagnosed last year. And the patience and care and understanding my boyfriend shows me is in contrast to the nonchalant behavior and lack of care DDG shows to Hallie in these messages. On top of the fact that he's already very toxic in his relationships. It's very sad that this was Hallie's first adult relationship because this man did not love her. The minute she had his baby,
It was gone.
he was gone. Out the door, deuces, adios. Here is a chart of the signs of BPD. And here are some signs I think Hallie shows. Again, I am not diagnosing her. No one should sue me. Fear of abandonment or rejection. Impulsive and dangerous behavior. Unstable self-image or sense of self. repeated self-harm or suicidal behavior, persistent feelings of emptiness. Now, the last symptom of BPD I think Hallie shows signs of having is temporary paranoid thoughts. According to DDG's declaration, he says that Hallie often tracked his whereabouts by leaving multiple Apple AirTags in his cars. He also said that she would show up at places when he was hanging out with his quote-unquote female friends. Okay. Focusing on the text messages where Hallie confesses that she had her baby to prove her loyalty to DDG.